Do you want to know how to discipline a toddler without hitting and yelling? You're not alone. Some people think those things are required to get a toddler's attention, but they aren't. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about parenting toddlers. All right, in this video, we're going to talk about toddlers and how they process, and then what you can do to help them learn cause and effect and to help them make good choices, solve their problems without resorting to physical violence or anger. I know toddlers can be frustrating because they don't seem to grasp everything that we need them to grasp quick enough. Their prefrontal cortexes are very small. They are processing on a very minimum capacity. The prefrontal cortex of the brain is not fully developed until a person is between the ages of like 18 and 25 years old. In fact, it's probably even just think mid-20s, okay? Most people, it's their mid-20s when they finally are able to solve all of their problems with a sense of confidence because their prefrontal cortexes have arrived at full development. So when we've got this little toddler who's trying to find the right words to say because their vocabulary is limited, they're trying to sort out cause and effect because they're just now learning opposites and how things relate to each other. They're trying to manage their relationships. They're trying to see what they can control about you and their environment and everything around them. And they're doing all of this with this teeny tiny prefrontal cortex that does all of their problem solving and planning. No wonder they get overwhelmed. No wonder they have tantrums. No wonder they scream and yell and say no, and I don't want to be calm, and all the things that they say to us when we're trying to help them get understood. What we hope that they see often through their tantrum is, we want to hear you, but this isn't the right way. And then sometimes we just feel disrespected. I would not waste any time feeling disrespected by your toddler. Toddlers try to control whatever they can control. They're seeing what their powers are. They're learning cause and effect. And so if they can control you, they will. If they talk back to you and it gets a rise out of anybody, they'll keep doing it. What the toddler needs is for someone to show them their role. Years ago, I wrote this book, Parenting a House United, and this is a must-have if you want to learn how to teach self-government in your family, for your children. It's definitely the main piece of everything that I teach is this book here. But when I wrote this, I thought everybody understood roles and that the parents would not allow for certain dysfunction to exist in their families. But I neglected to remember that in our modern times, dysfunction is kind of like the new function and everybody thinks it's normal. And so they're giving up their roles because of it. So then I had to write this book called Roles: The Secret to Family, Business, and Social Success. Roles are one of the foundational lessons that a person learns in a family. The first thing that a child learns is how to bond. They learn that they belong to other people. So who is it that they search for to belong to? Mother and father. So they learn those roles long before they learn their own role. Does the toddler know that their role is to be a learner? No. Even though they're learning all day long, they don't know that that's one of their vital roles. We have to bring everything back to who's the teachers and who is the learner in order for the toddler to pull everything together. This means that sometimes there are moments where we have to know that that toddler is going to scream and fight and kick and bonk and do all of those things to try to upset the roles because they're used to them being another way. So just the other day, I was at a home visit with a family and they have 3 toddlers. 2 that are like age 4 and then 1 that is just about 2 years old. Cutest little boys I ever did see, I will say. They're so cute, so smart, so precocious, but the whining and the tantrums and the talk back was constant. The 4-year-old talk back, talk back, talk back. The 2-year-old screaming at the top of his lungs to be heard all of the time. And the parents were like, oh, this is so disrespectful, right? Now, these parents had worked a long time on their skills of self-government, so they really were trying to hone in on their calmness, knowing how important that was, making sure that they were working on the words they had to say. And I have to say, they did a fantastic job. But there were still things with these little toddlers that were not coming together. And the reason why they weren't coming together was because the toddlers weren't necessarily being required to use the skills that the older children were being required to use. So if you have subscribed to this channel already, then you know that everything on here hinges on calmness. In fact, I will definitely give you a gift that will help with your calmness at the end of this video. So be sure you stick around for that. But the calmness is the first stop for everything. We can't do any teaching. We can't do any correcting unless we can get ourselves to calmness first. And these toddlers were not being calm. They were bouncing all over the place, which seems happy sometimes, but was so loud and crazy to the point that the parents oftentimes had to wear earplugs in their own house because it was so incredibly noisy, and they thought they wouldn't be able to shut this off. But I said, oh no, we can definitely shut this off. This screaming, this yelling, this talking back, we can do that. So we started working with the children on calmness and what it meant to be calm. Now, in a busy household, when you have, 6 and 7 children around, that can seem kind of crazy. So we actually developed a number system. Maybe in another video at some point, I'll talk about the number system where the parents would actually hand out numbers to the children, and then we talk to the children about their patience and how they could be patient if it wasn't their turn to get their issue addressed by mom and dad yet. This was wonderfully successful. Even the toddlers were able to respond to it. The almost 2-year-old, not so much, but he did learn what was calm and what was not calm. That was explained to him by the parents. They showed that, and then they used a calm down spot. So in the TSG parenting course, where I teach about how to implement self-government in your home, and that's on my website, teachingselfgovernment.com, then I talk about a calm down spot and how to use a calm down spot for little children. Now, the first time that this 2-year-old, who loved to scream and yell and holler to get attention and to get things his way, had to go to that calm down spot, he screamed and bonked and yelled. His brain chemicals went all the way to the fight or flight back brain. And then after about 20 minutes, he got calm there for a little bit. And the parents were like, okay, maybe he's ready to be calm. Because the whole time they were talking to him about being calm. But then soon he pushed himself all the way to back brain again. There went another 20 minutes. They were trying to invite him to be calm and to follow instructions, but he would not. He knew he had to follow the instructions and say okay in order to get off of the calm down place. Now, the calm down place is not the same as a timeout. Very different. It's a trigger spot. If the child gets calm on the way to the calm down place, they don't need to go there. They just need to be ready to be taught. These toddlers were going to the calm down spot many, many times. The first time, 45 minutes for this 2-year-old. And then after that, the toddler got to be less time. So then it was maybe around, 15 minutes or something. And then soon it was, oh, I don't need to go there at all. I think I can just be calm and follow instructions most of the time. Now, as he gets a little bit older, he gets 2.5, he'll probably go there just because he wants to be in control and on principle and because he's very strong-willed. That can happen, but we have to have a calm plan for our toddlers. So all 3 of these little toddler boys had their calm plan, and it included the calm down spot. But after they got calm in the calm down spot, they needed to prove that they could do the 5 steps to following an instruction. So I'm not going to go into following instructions so much here, just to tell you that teaching the skill of following instructions is the base skill of self-government. If a person can't or won't follow instructions, then they can't self-govern themselves, and the parents can't actually do any teaching or training. So we taught them that skill. They knew they had to follow that skill in order to show that they could accept their consequence. So then we finally get to the place of correction. You got that right. The calm down spot and following instruction, those things are not the correction. So finally we get to the correction, and the toddler gets the opportunity to accept their consequence. So there are 4 basic skills of self-government, and these children's books each teach one of the 4 basic skills of self-government. So those 4 skills are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. So the toddlers had learned these 4 basic skills of self-government, and they knew that if they didn't do one of the steps to these skills, that they would be corrected. Now maybe that language sounds a little bit big for your toddler. Like, my toddler is not going to say, "Mom, may I disagree appropriately?" Maybe not. But you know what they might say? They might look at you and say, "Properly?" Because they can't say the full thing. That's what my granddaughter said for quite some time. And her parents would say, "Oh, do you want to disagree appropriately?" And she would shake her head, and then they would help her use the exact words to change their mind so that she would learn the skill in this purple book, which is disagreeing appropriately. So when we're talking about disciplining our toddlers, what we're really talking about is pre-teaching. So many people, when they discipline toddlers, they react to the toddler's emotions, or they power struggle with a toddler that's trying to power struggle with them, just to show them who's bigger, who's going to win. It's not necessary. What we need to do is we need to teach our toddlers ahead of time what to expect and then follow through. Now, it is true that they could sit and scream for 45 minutes, and you might even have to hold them there so that they don't bonk their head. But I will say, that once they go through that process and they see that you are not trying to control them, you're just trying to help them acknowledge that this is the calm down place and that they can't get off it until they're calm. Then they know that it's up to them to get calm, that that's their number one objective, not to really control you. It changes the focus completely. I have 4 grandchildren, and they are all little. My oldest one happens to be a toddler right now, and she, starting at 16 months, could do all 4 of those 4 basic skills. She could even disagree appropriately. Now, I know that sounds really young, and she was quite verbal, but even when they don't have all the words to say, you can spoon feed them the words. One thing you don't want to do is ask them questions. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Do you think you might like this? Don't do that with the toddlers. I know that goes against what some people say with parenting children, but that just increases their anxiety, gets them trying to control you. You get a lot of back talk. The best thing you can do is just give instruction. So learn the appropriate way to give instruction, teach them the appropriate way to talk back with you using their skill disagreeing appropriately, and your life will transform. I promise that. My little granddaughter, who is 2 years old, can completely self-regulate. She can tell herself, "Get calm," and get calm. When she knows she's not calm and we tell her, "Oh, you need to get calm," she knows to take deep breaths and get calm. By the way, teaching your toddler to take deep breaths is really helpful because that helps with all of the chemicals that are in the brain that will help get them solidified so that they can use front brain again. So there are so many things that I could talk to you about related to parenting and toddlers, and we're just scratching the surface here. But I think that you probably could use calmness and some calm training the most. So remember, I promised that I would give you a gift at the end of this video. So the gift I have for you is my Calm Parenting Toolkit. It's a mini course to help you with your calmness so that you can launch off on more calmness with yourself, because that's probably going to be the hardest person to train. Even harder than your toddler. You have habits you've got to conquer, and if you can be calm, you can teach them to be calm too. So if you see in the description below this video, there's a link that says teachselfgov.com. Go to that link and you can have the Calm Parenting Toolkit for free. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.